Well, it's another Thursday edition of the Miller's Edge Extra. Hope you're doing well tonight. We're another day closer to another weekend of great college football. Alabama coming off a nice win on the road at College Station, taking care of the Aggies, still undefeated in the SEC. And this team is on their way to really making progress to that I-20 ride, Highway 20 ride to Atlanta. Next on the docket for the Tide is the Razorbacks of Arkansas, who are winless in the SEC thus far, although have played some close ball games, but not able to come up with the dub. Corey Miller, the Pastor Payne, with Christian Miller. We're going to break down this Tide game for you. Arkansas and the Alabama Crimson Tide, 11 a.m. Central Time. And it's going to be an early start. You got homecoming. The parade is about, I don't know, dark 30 or so. It might be dark when the parade starts, but it is what it is. It's an early game. As a player, as a team, you got to adjust. You got to be ready, whatever the time is going to be. And I think Coach Saban and the staff will have those guys ready to rock and roll regardless. But, Christian, as you know, we all know playing an early game can be tough sometimes, waking up, a little bit different than your normal routine. But I believe Alabama will be ready to rock and roll and go in this ball game. But we've had a lot of good conversation on the Miller's Edge on the Tide 100.9 and now AM 1230 about this football game. And, a lot of people might be a little nervous, Christian, about this game. We talked about the anxiety maybe last week going on the road, 110,000 loud fans. But this one may be because you might be feeling yourself a little bit. Everybody was picking against you to lose this game against the Aggies. You dominated them in the second half, 16-3. You've shown that you're a second half team. You made nice adjustments, and then now you got an Arkansas team who's doing the opposite, losing, and you're gonna get a team that's hungry. Sam Pittman's gonna have his guys ready to rock and roll. They haven't won. They're hungry for a W, but if you're an Alabama fan, maybe you're a little bit nervous, maybe not, but it's still one of those games you have to be careful. You have to be ready to play, or else you'll find yourself in the loss column.
No, I wouldn't look. I don't think it's that deep, right? But I agree with you. I think this is one of those weeks where you look at it and it does feel like this could be a trap game, not so much to, trap game like, oh, we might lose this game, but trap game meaning we could kind of slump, right? We've been trending upwards. A good showing against Ole Miss in that second half, going on the road, getting a good victory over Mississippi State. And then the coming live party with Jalen Milroe and Jermaine Burton last week going on the road, scoring a big win in College Station against Texas A&M. And so it feels like all the things are kind of working against us right now. Going into this week, you're facing an Arkansas team who's coming in to this ball game. I believe they're 2-3, I think, or 2-4, I think, 0-3 in SEC play. So when you look at them, it's easy to overlook them. Just looking at the numbers, looking at their record, but if you dive in deep and you look at their record and their scores from the season, I mean, they played everybody close. They went on the road and faced a solid LSU team. They only lost by 3 points. They played Ole Miss tight. They lost 27-20 in that ball game. Texas A&M, they ended up losing by 12. But for the first half, they were in very much in the football game. So when you look at this Arkansas team, I think it's easy to overlook them. And I think that's why Coach Saban went into his press conference yesterday, Wednesday, and he basically said, he gave the lecture about nothing, right? And to me, it just sounded like he was harping on the fact that you have to continuously have that proper mindset, the right mentality to get better, no matter the circumstances. And to me, that was almost him preaching to his team. Maybe he didn't see the proper intensity in practice so far during the week, right? And I said that before we heard that press conference. I said I wouldn't be shocked if this is one of those weeks because it just kind of feels like that. And I think that's the biggest thing that you have to battle if you are Nick Saban or any of these coaches. You got to battle that not necessarily complacency, but you know what I mean. Like when things finally start getting rolling, you can't let your foot off the gas. It's not the time to do that. You got to continuously put your foot on the gas and keep attacking because although we're seeing some really good things out of this football team, and I do feel like they're trending in the right direction, I very much believe that there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. There's a lot of progress to be made. There's a lot of meat left on the bone for this football team. And so this game, you said it on the show earlier. I really think this is one of those football games where you really want to focus on yourself. You have to expect a tough matchup. I know every time I played Arkansas, it's always a tough game. And I'm expecting the same thing this weekend. Then you throw in the factor that it's an 11 o'clock game. It's early. Guys don't want to play 11 o'clock games. I can tell you that right now. I never wanted to play them. It sucks waking up at 7 in the morning, eating pregame meal at 8 o'clock, and then you're on the field by 9, warming up, getting ready for the game, and you're still getting the crust out of your eyes while you're warming up sometimes, right? So there's a lot of things kind of going against Alabama in this football game. I wholeheartedly believe they're going to win this game and win in a very nice fashion. I just think it's going to be important that they have the right mentality, because I very much could see this game kind of being a slump type of game, them coming out kind of slow, starting the game slow, seeing some errors. Now, I could be wrong. I hope that's not the case. I don't want that to be the case. I just know that I've been in these situations, and I'm kind of sensing that, I already was looking at, kind of the factors going into this week and thinking that, and then to hear Coach Saban at his press conference after practice yesterday kind of just made me get even more of a feel that, hey, maybe we don't have the proper mindset right now. Maybe we got to kind of get recalibrated, because again, you got, a nice performance last week, right? Everybody's down you. We saw the highlight video. They used the videos.
Love that.
Oh, it was amazing, right? They used all the motivation from everybody counting them out. And then you go and you have a big game. Yeah, it wasn't perfect, but you do a lot of things that people didn't expect you to do. And so right now, I feel like, again, we're trending that way. People are starting to talk about you in a positive manner. Just got to make sure you stay level-headed, stay humble, and you fight that complacency. And so I think this is one of those games where we'll see it could definitely start out slow. I hope that's not the case, but I could see that happening. And look, when you look at Arkansas, you have to acknowledge the fact that, again, they're 0-3 in SEC play. I understand that. I get that. But at the same time, KJ Jefferson's a pretty good quarterback, a big guy. He can move around. I would call him mobile, but to a
he's really
degree.
mobile.
He is mobile, but but not like Jalen Milroe mobile, where it's like, oh God, this guy's going to burn you for 30, 40 yards. But he can move around, and I think that's how he ends up making plays, extending plays with his legs. And he's a big body, 6'3", 250. It's going to be tough to get him on the ground. He also has 6 turnovers on the year, or interceptions at least. So I think it's going to be critical to really, get our pass rush going like we've seen in recent weeks. But that, to me, I think is really going to seal the deal in this game. I think our front seven is going to be a lot for them to handle. I'm looking at that because I think that's a key, and I think that's going to be important. But what I'm really looking at is I want to see our offensive line make the progress that we need to make. Last week, I feel like we stepped up, in pass pro. I thought that was better last week, especially going against a really good Texas A&M front. It wasn't perfect, but I thought they rose to the challenge pretty well given the circumstances. But the running game, right? I think before you take away the sack yards, I think Jace and Roydell had about 54 yards between the two of them. But then when you include the negative 31 yards, I believe it was, from the sacks, we rushed for less than 1 yard. It's 0.9 yards per carry, right? I want to see us attack that this week. You're going against a physical and aggressive front that Arkansas has. Let's see that run game get going, because now we've seen that Alabama has the ability to throw the football. We've all been wanting to see it. Everybody was very dubious of Jalen Milroe and his ability to throw the ball and beat you through the air. Texas A&M challenged him to do that, and he very much did that, right? So I'm the type of person, I look at the positives, I look at the takeaways, and I say, okay, if we've done it once, we can do it again. We can build off of that. So we've seen that now. We've seen them run the ball earlier in the year, but we need to do these things consistently. So I would love for this to be that game that we see Alabama do both of those well. I would love for us to run the football effectively. Now I would love for us to continue to open up the passing game like we saw last week. Those are the two things I want to be looking at on the offense side of the football, but specifically that offensive line. I want to keep honing in on that offensive line, because they, to me, are going to be, the pretty much what makes or breaks us this year, right? If the offensive line continues to improve and plays good football, I think we can accomplish all our goals. If they don't play at that level consistently, I'll be honest, I don't know how far we can get. So I'm looking at those things because I think this is an important week, and I think it's a great opportunity that we have this weekend.
Well, there's no doubt it's a great opportunity. Now going forward, you're talking about win and you're in, right? That's the motto for this football team at Alabama is we win and you're in. If you keep winning, you're going to be in. It doesn't matter where you rank. It doesn't matter what the coaches poll or the AP poll. It doesn't matter what those people say, because all you got to do is continue to win, and you're going to be in the college football playoff, right? So I said this after they lost to Texas, you have to get into that college football playoff mode. And somebody got loud pipes here, but you got to get in that college football mode, and they have been in that mode because they can't afford to lose a game. You can't afford to lose a game now. You want to try to go undefeated, just an opportunity to get to Atlanta, to maybe play Georgia, Tennessee, whomever is going to win the East side. And then you can, it's one game, and the winner goes. Winner collects all. But I'll say this. I said this morning on the show. You got to be aware of the triple S. You got to be aware of the triple S. Slow, sluggish start. And honestly, they have done that pretty much all year. Slow, sluggish start. This team has come out and not been good. They haven't come out firing on all cylinders. It's like a very lethargic Alabama, just kind of going through the motions, kind of just, we're here, we're going to show up, and the A on the helmet is just going to win the ball game. No, they got to get to something where they can start fast. They have been a second half team. That's good news. They have made the adjustments. They have went in the locker room. They have done what they were supposed to do, and came back out, and they were like, man, what a difference. What a tale of two halves, right? What's been the difference? I think if you're a coach, and if I'm Nick Saban, if I'm looking at this Alabama football team, I got to figure out why we are not starting fast, why we're having this triple S syndrome, slow, sluggish starts. Why? And that's what you got to figure out. I don't know. I mean, to me, the exciting time is, man, you're going through the warm-ups, the band, the fans coming in, you amped up, you're ready to go, and you go out and do your thing. They haven't done that. They had to go in and then get cussed out. Nick Saban getting on the Gatorade when Ellis holding the bucket, and then they come out and they're a different team. Why is it that this team hasn't started fast? That's my number one biggest question. But I'm excited that they are able to make the necessary changes. They come out and they make changes. They see how teams are defending them versus the offense. Defensively, they make changes, do what they need to do, and they play great defense. I mean, I don't know what the second half of the last three games has been, but I promise you they haven't given up nothing, hardly on defense, but maybe field goals, right? Texas A&M scored 3 in the second half. I believe Mississippi State might have scored a touchdown or 3. Wasn't much in the second half. Ole Miss did nothing in the second half. I mean, this team has been lights out. But if they can put 4 quarters of that, they're unstoppable. If they can put 4 quarters of second half Alabama, we're talking about this in a whole different sense. So I'm wondering what they got to do to get to that place. You talked about the offensive line. You talk about the running the football or the lack thereof. The offensive line, again, should have opportunities to establish the run in this ballgame. They should be. They should win the line of scrimmage. They should lay those big bodies on the defensive line of Arkansas and play that physical brand of football. Now, if Arkansas want to come up and bring a safety down and put 8 people in the box, guess what? They've shown that they have playmakers on the outside. Burton, had a phenomenal game, a $197, I believe. Transfer from Georgia, has been just lights out. He's been a favorite target of Jalen Milroe. Jalen is it Waylon or Well? What's Jalen? What's the last time I'm drawing a
Jalen Hale, freshman.
Hale. Fresh.
Yeah, Isaiah Bond, Malik Benson.
Isaiah Bonds. I mean, they still got Benson and Brooks, and they got dudes. They got Nyblack. They got Dupree. They got guys that are able to do things in the slot. They're able to do things in open space, that they still have to get to a place where you utilize your talent. And I know the ball can only be spread around so much, but They have dudes. I mean, that was another question going into this season. Well, they don't have Wilder. They don't have, Devontae. They don't have Ruggs. They don't have this, that, and the third, Williamson. Listen, they got players. So I applauded Tommy Rees for his adjustments last week. I thought it was very, very good. But I still want to see him open up this playbook, expand this playbook. I still want to see a little bit more quarterback runs, design quarterback runs from Jalen Milroe. Attack, attack, attack. People know they want to run the ball. Their running game consists of between the tackles. They don't have a very exotic run game. Very basic, very easily defended, just based on what they do. And if they're not able to change the line of scrimmage by getting great push on the defensive front, those backs know, regardless of how good they are, they're not getting anywhere. So you got to throw some wrinkles in the run game. And I think one of those wrinkles got to be running quarterback Jalen Milroe a little bit more. He should have 10 to 12 runs a game. Now, we know he's going to have other runs, escaping the pocket, extending plays when things break down, because we know teams are going to blitz. Football's a copycat league, and everybody knows that this team has struggled against stunts and slants from defensive linemen. They know this team has struggled against picking up blitzing. So we know we're going to see that again. Because I'm telling you, coaches are going to copy whatever the success other teams has had. And this is where you got to be really sharp as a coordinator as far as Tommy Rees is concerned. Now you got to be able to dial up some other stuff that they haven't seen or make a wrinkle here or there, because they're going to expect certain things, right? Expect you to do certain things, expect this guy to be in a certain place. So now the offensive coordinator goes in and he changed some things. So I do want to see a little bit more broad, if I can use that word, run game, because it's been really kind of just boring. It's not been just, it's just, hey, snap, hand it to the guy. Snap on this side, hand it to the guy. We need more RPO game. We showed some shots last week of that. Running the ball and then getting that defensive end to crash down. Now give Jalen a run pass option, right? He can pull it, he can run it, right? If he gets, they got a spy, somebody's coming up to fill that empty space, then you throw it. I mean, so they got to do more, in my opinion, of that. You got to expand the playbook even more. They did it last week. Kudos to Tommy Rees. I thought he did a heck of a job calling plays. He allowed Jalen Milroe to stand in there and throw the football, attack down the field. I thought that, hey, you know what? You got to open up. You got to make him respect the pass game. And now people have seen Jalen Milroe throw these balls very successfully. Guess what? They're gonna respect his game. They're going to respect that he can make every single throw. They're going to respect that he can do some things that maybe they thought he couldn't do. So that gives Tommy Rees the ability to expand the playbook. Now, I don't know mentally, academic-wise, what he can handle, because I think when you ask him to do a little bit too much, where now he might have to make checks, or what we like to call check with me package, would mean the quarterbacks comes up, they have a call, and he comes up and he identifies the defense, and he goes, you know what? This is not going to work. So check with me will be like, I'm going to change this call and we're going to do something different. I don't know if Milroe is at that point where they trust him to run the check with me package, right? To be able to make some different calls at the line of scrimmage. I don't see that. As a matter of fact, I see more the offensive line looking and identifying certain things, Christian. So that's what I want to see, though. I want to see, them expand it, give him a little bit more. Every week, give him a little bit more. And the more he gets, the more this offense is going to open up, the more they're going to be able to attack explosives down the field, the more he'll have a chance to utilize his incredible athletic ability. Because if he can ever get loose with running the football, let's say like a Lamar Jackson, where you got to respect that every single down, based on how defense will have to defend that, is also going to open up for him to attack more down the field to those talented wide receivers.
No doubt. Yeah, and I agree with all that. I think they can be a little more diverse with their run game. You're right. A lot of inside zone type runs is really the majority of the runs that we'll see from this offense. So I think they can get a little more creative in that aspect, and hopefully they will. Typically during as the season progresses, they'll implement newer things. And I agree to your point in terms of they're probably not trying to put too much on Milroe's plate, which is fine. Look, I mean, in terms of reading, like he can read, you're 100% right, but maybe not, as inclined as somebody like a Bryce Young for all the pre-snap stuff, and that's okay. You just got to do what works for him. And one thing I noticed that we're doing a lot more of is that pre-snap. We'll have the fake snap or the fake clap, right? The fake cadence to see what they're in, and it looks like they're getting to, it's almost like they're audibling for him, which I don't know why we didn't do initially, right? Because they can help him out, right? I know it's not the NFL; he doesn't have a mic, but you have Tommy Reese who's in the box. He can see what they're in. He can identify the personnel and kind of what he's seeing. He can talk and communicate with the guys on the field with the signs and signals, and they can signal in what they want to do. And that's what they've actually been doing. I've noticed that. And I think that's very smart. Help him out as much as you can. And I think that's why he's feeling more and more confident, more and more comfortable. And so I'm really excited, the path that he's on. So let's get to some of these super chats real quick. We've got Kelly in the house. Kelly, how are you this evening? Kelly says,
what's up, Kelly?
Kelly says, how great was it to finally see a wide receiver connection emerge last weekend? Been waiting for that development. Kelly, first and foremost, thank you so much for the $19.99 super chat. We appreciate your support so much. And I'm with you. We were waiting for that. We knew, and we've been saying we need a guy in that receiver room to step up. And that guy was Jermaine Burton. I mean, he looked like a dog, right? I mean, I loved what he did on the field, right? Who didn't? He had 197 yards receiving, touchdowns. I mean, this guy was phenomenal. But even more so, I loved his passion, his intensity. I mean, I'm okay with that, right? Obviously, you don't want to do too much where you start getting undisciplined penalties or putting yourself at risk of getting those. So I would be cautious about that. But I've been waiting to see somebody step up and have that dog in them, especially on the offensive side. And we finally saw that from him. And to see that connection between the two, people always talk about Milroe's timing, but really his timing was a lot better in this game. He was throwing some darts, some dimes. He had some good timing. Now, the interception he threw, I felt that was a timing issue. He's a little late on that. Safety did a good job, made a nice play. But, man, I thought Jalen Milroe was phenomenal, and his connection with, not just Burton, but even Bond. I mean, he was exceptional. There's a couple throws in the intermediate game that he probably could clean up. That's going to happen. But if they can build off of that chemistry that they had this past week against Texas A&M, I mean, that's exactly I think that's, aside from the offensive line needing to be more physical and consistent, I think that's what we've been needing, that connection, like you mentioned, Kelly. So it was great to see, and hopefully we see that moving forward even more during this season. But again, Kelly, thank you so much for that $19.99 super chat. You're so sweet.
Thank you,
we
Kelly.
Appreciate all your support because you're definitely Kelly Kell is one of the biggest supporters of our show. We've got another super chat from Genevieve's house at a $20 super chat. Genevieve says, for those who said Milroe couldn't read defenses, did you see when he looked toward his right and held the safety, then hit Bond for the long touchdown? Roll Tide. Roll Tide, Genevieve. Thank you so much for the $20 super chat. Yeah, no, he looked a lot more comfortable in the pocket. He looked a lot more comfortable going through his reads and scanning and hitting his guys. Yes, there was a couple of times he probably held the ball a little too long, probably could have thrown it away, right? But the progress that I'm seeing out of him is exactly what you want to see out of a young quarterback like Jalen Milroe. Like, he's on the right path. He's on the right track. He seems to be hungry. We know he's a great leader. He's driven. I liked his passion when they had the multiple false starts, consistently or consecutively. He was fired up. He let those guys know. And so, I'm excited for him. We have been saying, this guy has all the potential in the world, right? People can say what they want, but we've seen him. We saw him in practice and training camp, and he's been making all these throws. That's why I tell people, he can throw the football short, deep, intermediate. It's just about consistency. And I thought, if you go back and watch these throws, there are some people that were saying, oh, he was just throwing hitches or he was just throwing. I was like, I don't know what game you were watching, man. The timing was a lot better. He was accurate. That pass to Jermaine Burton, right? The touchdown pass where he kind of squeezed it, right through the defender in the end zone. Phenomenal throw. That was incredible accuracy. And if he could just keep doing those things consistently, right? And the offensive line keeps improving with their pass pro, I'm excited for what this offense can be, because that's the layer that we need to see them continue to grow with, that passing game. And they just got to get consistent running the football. And I think part of that obviously is being more physical and getting the running schemes executed. But I also think, like my dad says, you can be a little more diverse, a little more creative to help open things up. But again, I think we're trending in the right direction. We just have to keep.
Well, I think I do think, and again, thanks Genevieve House for the $20 super chats. Thank you so much. God bless you. But the thing is, when you have a young quarterback, offensive coordinators don't want to give him too much. They don't want to overload the mind of this guy. We don't want to make Jalen Miro think too much. We saw some of that early on. Because I say this all the time, processing the information, getting the information into your computer, your brain, your mind, and now being able to execute, being able to do it without thinking. And I think that's what Tommy Rees is trying to get Jalen Miro to a place of comfortability, to where he can get the call. There's not a whole lot of checking going on. It's like, it is what it is. This is what we're going to run the play, execute it, dominate, do your thing. And I think that's what we're seeing right now. But each and every single week, I do believe they add a little bit more. They add a little bit more because now he's got those plays down. He's familiar now. He's able to, as Genevieve House said, look off the safety, just look it off just real quick, just to make him hesitate or pause just for a moment, bam, and then throw the football. That was excellent, right? So I think we're seeing the evolution of Jalen Milroe getting a little bit more academic as it pertains to football. I think he understands the game. And then what happens as players, not just at the quarterback position, that the more you play, the more reps that you have, the more you become comfortable, the game itself slows down. When you're not sure, when you're anxious, when you're a little nervous, and you don't really know if I understand all this stuff, the game seems so fast. I remember my first game in the National Football League, my rookie year, when we played. It was a rematch of Super Bowl 1990. It was the Giants versus Buffalo Bills down in Tampa Bay, Florida. Whitney Houston, the flyover, Desert Storm, all this stuff was going on. And the next year, I'm drafted. I'm in there. I'm starting at middle linebacker, which I haven't played since high school. And you got Jim Kelly, Thurman Thomas, Andre Reed. You got all these dudes. And listen, I'm out there at the mic position, and there's a lot going on. I'm making the calls and checks and this and that, and I'm so locked in. And man, I'm looking at these huge offensive linemen that I know that's coming to knock my chin strap off. And he's like, ready, I mean, next thing I know, I'm drilled in the grill, right? But after that game kept going, I became more comfortable. Next week, more comfortable. Regular season, I got it. And it helped me play faster. It helped me process information, get the call. I understand if the slot motion's over or tight end moves over, we go to trips. I got to do this. I got to do that. Things change. So the more Jalen Milroe plays, the more repetition that he gets in games, he's going to become more comfortable. And that's what Nick Saban is saying, because, early on, everybody, they was worried, concerned, this and that. But now Jalen Milroe is comfortable. And so I'm excited about what he's doing and what's happening, and he's doing a phenomenal job. Jeremy Sanders, Sweet Home, Alabama, Roll Tide, Roll.
Roll Tide, roll. Look,
can y'all see I'm dressed up tonight. Can they see my outfit?
Fill them in, because you look like John Wick right now.
Who?
Come on now, don't do that. Don't do that. You know who John Wick is. Come on.
Never heard of him. Who is John Wick?
Chat, please roast him. How have you never heard of John Wick? Don't do that. Come on now.
Wick or Wit?
Wick. W-I-C-K. Come on now.
And I'll say it again.
Come on
never
now.
Heard of John Wick or John Bick or Flick or Stick.
I mean,
I've heard of John Randall. I heard of John Thompson.
You live under a rock,
John
dude? Come
Mayer.
on, man.
I heard of a lot of other famous Johns.
Wow.
But anyway, I got to move the old iPad, but you can see here. This is my Hall of Fame coat. We had the 2023 class go in tonight. And so they asked the former inductees to wear their Hall of Fame jacket. So you can see this is my, I don't know if you can see it here, but this is it. My Gamecock one. And there we go. And so, yeah, I'm proud of this coat. I went and got it taken up because it's so big. That means your boy losing some good weight in the midsection. That's a good thing. And So I was able to support that tonight. That's why I'm sitting here at the gas station downtown. It's homecoming week here, Florida game coming up. So a lot of things going on. I'm gonna have to probably dip out of here in a little bit because I got another thing to attend. But yeah, your boy got his Hall of Fame. Yeah, Hall of Fame. I'm repping that thing. But I don't know who John Wick is. So you can ask him to roast me, toast me, whatever. I still don't know. And you still haven't told me who John Wick is.
Dude, the movie John Wick, man. They like kill his dog. He's out for revenge. I mean, he's a BA. You know, I don't want to say the word. You know, like it's one of those movies. I mean, you've never John Wick, really?
I don't really watch movies.
I mean clearly you don't if you don't know who the John Wick series.
I have no clue who John Wick is. I don't know, bro.
Chad, please roast this guy.
I don't know what movie. What he look like? Obviously,
he's
black dude. He's saying I look like him, so he black and got a bald.
It is Keanu Reeves, right? Like, isn't it?
No, you don't even know who it is yourself.
I do. No, I do. I mean, you got me second guessing. Yeah, I mean, how do you not know John Wick, man? Anyway, hold on.
I don't watch a lot of movies.
Clearly, you know.
I watch sports and I watch anything Christian movie. I watch. But if you tell me John Wick, I have no clue. Never heard of
Okay.
John.
Well, while you look up John Wick, let's get to some of these super chats. Adam in the house again. The Miller's Edge Extra.
I know who Adam Lamparello is. I know who Adam Lamparello is.
Presented by Adam Lamparello. Adam, I got your hat going in the mail tomorrow. I promise. We've had a lot of family stuff going on. It's been a long week, but I promise we're getting that to you. So hang in there. I promise we're getting that to you. But Adam says, hey, guys, love the show. Christian, as an outside linebacker, do you switch from zone to man or vice versa based on what the receivers do post-snap? If so, how do you know when to do that? Saban's cover 7 seems to require this, but it seems so complicated. That's a loaded question.
He knows
I like that.
7 is. Adam, woo-hoo!
Adam's been doing his homework. Adam, I appreciate that. Look, and first of all, thank you so much for your continuous donations and your support, man. Again, we're sponsored by Adam, the Miller's Edge Extra, presented by the Adam
Lamparello, baby, Lamparello.
I know. You know, my mom's Italian, so I like the last name. But so here's the thing, Adam. So typically you don't necessarily go from zone to man. I mean, depending on the coverage, it's going to be somewhat set. Now, there's some times where you can kind of come off of guys, but if it's a zone call, it's typically zone. Now, what you're kind of describing is, so cover 7 in Coach Saban's system is a man match principle. So it's kind of a combination of both. So that's a great point you made. But I'll give you an example. So if you're playing cover 1 is man coverage with a free safety, right? Cover 0 is full out blitz, straight man on everyone. Then you go into your zones. You got cover 2, cover 3, cover 4. That basically the number is like the number of guys that are deep. So cover 2, you've got 2 guys playing the halves. The corners are responsible for the flats, right? The weakness is going to be the middle of the field. Cover 3, you've got 3 guys deep. It's going to be a middle field coverage, but then the corners are playing deep thirds, right? Cover 4, you got how many guys? 4 guys deep, right? You got it's quarters coverage, quarter. That being said, cover 7 is kind of interesting. It's man match principles, so you got to know when to buy guys. So really, to answer your question, Adam, it all depends on the routes that you're getting, the route concepts, right? The you know, if it's 3x1, if it's 2x2. Typically, what I'll say to that really is it's hard to tell without seeing a route drawn up, Adam. But I'll tell you, you know when to buy guys based on principles, right? So like if it's cover 7 and I'm playing mod. You know, I'll have
no idea what you're talking about playing mod.
I know, that's why I'm trying to, because Adam, it's a phenomenal question. It's a loaded question. So it's hard to explain it without drawing it up. Because I'll be honest, I mean, it took me a while to learn Coach Saban's cover 7 scheme, because you've got stump, stubby, all type of, you know, meg, which means the corner's playing man on a guy. There's a lot of moving parts in cover 7. But the best way I can explain that, Adam, is it's basically like a zone type defense with man match principles. It's a man match defense underneath man match. Yeah. So sometimes the backside corner is going to be in meg. He's going to be playing man on his guy. He's got him all over 1-on-1. But you normally have apex players, and those apex guys are basically, you know, working with the safeties. The safeties are going to be reading 2-to-1. And so if 2 goes up or out, one guy will buy him that away. If he does any other thing, the other guy takes him. So a lot of moving parts, and maybe I could probably do a whole video on cover 7.
Well, let
Adam,
me
I'll
just
be
say
honest.
this. Let me just say this,
It's
Adam. This is
loaded,
one
man.
of the reasons why you see dudes running free in Nick Saban's defense.
No, that's true. That's
I'm
true.
just trying to tell you because them dudes on the field don't get it. Because what happens when you run any kind of underneath man principle behind and playing zone behind it, guys gonna get lost in the junk, right? Because you got crossing routes and wheel routes and then they look around. Well, I thought you had you got. Well, I passed this off, and we gotta do different things called banjo. I mean, listen, this is why I said early on, Nick Saban defense, in my opinion, is for NFL guys mostly that can get these things and have played in the system for years. Now, the more you play in this system, obviously, again, as I said about Jalen and repetition, you get it, right? You're able to play fast, you're able to process it, because things change. Because they line up in doubles, which means 2 by 2, 2 receivers on each side. We call it doubles, but then that slot motions over to create trips. Then things change. You got to be a shift. You run. D line might have to move over, and your gap needs to change. There's so much stuff goes on. That's why a lot of offenses motion or shift, because we call it window dressing, but they do it for a reason. One, to see what the defense is doing, right? And the defense, if they're man, they definitely got to run with them, or sometimes they push over, and Christian said they buy that particular player. But the bottom line, what I'm saying, Lamparello is too difficult. And anytime a defense is this difficult, where this man played 5 years, this man graduated in 3 years, Christian I'm talking about, got his master's in over 4 years, and he's sitting here and he struggles still trying to explain it to you. It's too daggum hard. That's all I'm trying to tell you. This man is smarter than anybody else that I know, and he's sitting here trying to go through all this stuff. And did you see this? Football shouldn't be. It's blocking and tackling. Just play cover 2, right? Or let's just go man free.
No.
Like let's run a zone dog and drop out the end and bring the slot, the safety, the spur. Listen, this is too much, and this is why when you see early on in the year, them guys at Texas, okay, here we go. They were in cover 7. A lot of those busts. They were in cover 7. And these guys is running free. So basically, you can probably blame them for playing that coverage in early on in the year when you got a lot of new guys in there, even like Caleb Downs, who made a mistake. That's why, because it's too complicated. And you said this in your post right here. So it's not that hard. Get you some dudes that can play. Get you some corners that can cover. Get you some dudes that can rush, and just go play football. Because if a defensive guy got to think too much, you're going to have guys running wide open. And we've seen that in a lot. Tennessee, cover 7. I mean,
there was some cover 7 there.
Many busts. So I wish Coach Saban I would take cover 7 and take my cigar lighter and put in the can and just burn it up. Maybe throw gas.
Okay. You're doing too much. It is difficult, but once you learn it, the reason they like it is because you can play so much out of it. Like there's so many adjustments that makes it
NFL defense.
Oh, it's more complicated than NFL defense. The way what you're describing is kind of what we ran with the Panthers. It was a lot more simplified. I get what you're saying. You know, when you simplify things, guys, they don't have to think as much. They can play fast. But look at Caleb Downs, true freshman. I mean, yeah, he's a football meathead. And, he eats, sleeps, and breathes football. But he's picked it up, and he's playing lights out. He leads the team in tackles. I mean, the guy is like arguably one of the best guys on the defense. And I don't necessarily – I mean, he messes up time to time because he's still learning it. But, look, true freshman if you want to learn it, you can learn it. It's not easy by any means. But trust me, there's a reason Coach Saban has success. There's a reason everybody is trying to learn how to play cover 7 like him. Adam, that was a really good question. I'm glad you brought that up.
That's why a lot of freshmen and redshirt freshmen are still on the sidelines.
That's 100% why they're on the sideline.
They got enough
they don't know the
play,
system.
But they can't get on the field because it's too complicated. Period.
And that's faith. That's part of it, man. Hey, that's what Alabama's about. We're not going to change anything for anybody. Our system is our system.
Let them rush. You got speed over there that's standing there picking their nose and eating sunflower seeds that I believe should be on the field. We
got Braswell and Dallas Turner doing their thing right now. Trust me. We'll be just fine.
We're going to need more than that.
We probably will. 6-0 with the $20 super chat. Thank you so much, 6-0. He says, Mr. Corey Miller, from your experience in football, What will it take for Alabama's offensive line to improve and be consistent on a weekly basis? Roll Tide, roll, go Vikes. I
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
Vikings.
Mike.
There you go.
Listen, Purple People Eater, baby. I played there with Chris Dolman and John Randall and Jerry Ball and Ed McDaniel and Dwayne Rudd, man. Uh, we had a defense that was pretty solid when I was there, man. I love playing in Minnesota. Um, this offensive line, I think one, they're, and let's start with pass protection because that's where the struggle is. They are not nifty, right? They're not, they're so big. Uh, they struggle with footwork. They're going to struggle with guys that space guys, speed on the outside. They have struggled tremendously, and it has turned into bad fundamentals. So I watch the tape and I see them instead of staying square and kick, holding back that punch because you don't want to have lazy hands as an offensive lineman, leave them out there for guys to come in, pass what you're going to try to break your forearm. You know, they got to get better at not showing this, but keep them in here so they can punch. They got to be better when it comes to balance. They get out of balance a lot of times because they open up their hips and their footwork becomes sloppy, and dudes are able to use speed to power on them. So they got to get better fundamentally. I know Eric Wilford. He was here at the University of South Carolina. He's known for being a good offensive line coach, and I think he is. But especially Proctor, some of those young guys got to get better fundamentally. This running the football though is just mindset. Running the football is what J.C. Latham, what he talked about in SEC Media Day. It's what Tyler Booker talked about is domination, moving guys off their spot. The problem has been teams that they have faced are not sitting ducks. They're not standing in front of 350, right? And just say, hey, I'm going to beat you one-on-one and I'm going to shed blocks or I'm going to knock you back, 354-pound guy, into the backfield and then make plays for TFLs. No, defense coordinators understand that my D line is small, undersized, because that's what we're seeing now with defenses in college football and the pros. We're getting smaller guys, faster guys, long guys that can move, right? And now you've gone big on the offensive line. Guess what? They can't move. So even in the run game, what they're finding out is they've seen a lot of slants, right? And guy lines up head up or in a gap, and he slants to another gap, or they run in a game, or what they call twist. These guys are moving, and they're causing Alabama a lot of problems. So to get better, I think they need to drop a few pounds, like me. They need to lose some, and then work on their footwork, work on their fundamentals and their technique, and then mindset. So when they're playing base defense, when they're not stunting or slanting, you got to be able to keep your butt down, right, and explode. We work on those drills when you see them on those dummies. They're hitting those dummies, even defensive linemen to explode, rolling those hips, hand placement, trying to get hands on the inside, and drive blocks, meaning keeping those legs turning. They got to be better, a little more nasty. I seen a couple guys, 77 got the nasty. Latham got the nasty. Booker got the nasty, but the guard center needs to be better because listen, this is where they like to run the football up the middle. And guess what? Their center and their guard hadn't been playing great football. They don't run a lot on the outside. They should. They should attack the flanks. But if your guards are not dominant and your center's not good, you're gonna have a hard time running the football up the middle, which is where Tommy Reese likes to run. So I think to answer your question short is just lose some weight, continue to work on those fundamentals, and then when you get into that run position, it's mindset. It's like stopping the run for a defensive mindset, is will and want to, and I think that's where this offensive line has to get to.
I
Thanks for
agree.
the question.
Oh no, that's a great question. Six. So I just piggybacking off him real quick. I agree with all that. I think fundamentally they have to improve. Whether that's coming off low, driving guys, their mindset. You got to. I think they had the right mindset for the most part. Especially with Latham and Booker. Those guys. I mean, they want to get the job done. They want to be nasty, and we've seen those guys be nasty. But it's like he said, if your staple is going to be inside zone, I mean, you got to have some dogs at center and guard. Like if you're running behind those guys, and I hate to say this, but just Dalcourt and Seth, they've kind of struggled, right? I would almost rather just get in 12 personnel and run some outside zone, or you know what I mean, like some power or something, get behind those guys, right? But yeah, I think fundamentally they got to improve in pass pro. Like he said, if you just watch them, they don't have great footwork. You know what I mean? They just turn open the gate, and they're not real. I think they could be more violent too, like with their punch. As big as they are, like I mean, they should be clubbing guys, putting that punch on them. Like a pass rusher like me, like I'm a narrow, athletic, slender dude. Like I'm the type, I hated going against those big guys. I loved, being able to use my speed against them, but I knew if they put them big old paws on me, I was in trouble. And I feel like a lot of these guys don't feel that. They're not worried about getting those paws put on them because they're not real violent with them sometimes. So I think, they need to improve their fundamentals first and foremost, low pad level, coming off, driving guys, imposing their will, and then working on their footwork and just having that right mindset. But great question, Six. So get to the next super chat from Dr. Crystal with $10. Thank you so much for the support. She says, there she is. Appreciate that, Doc. She says, Milrose swag.
So I can see Dr. Crystal.
She says, Milrose swag is coming out.
Dr. Crystal.
Okay. I mean, can we stop flirting with this with the team, the Miller's Edge crew?
Very pretty lady.
Here we go. So she says, Milrose swag is coming out. If the O-line can figure it all the way out, Bama is going to be scary. By the way, you are clean as the Board of Health, Corey. Well,
God bless you. I mean,
his head's big enough, Dr. Crystal. He don't need to hear all that, but he does look clean with his jacket. I'll give him that.
I'm just saying to you, as a man 55 years old, you're trying to keep. I'm trying to lose weight, and Doc would tell that's a good thing, right? And you're a health guy. You're all total health Christian. So I mean, I want to look good. So that's brother, man. I want to try. The Bible wants us to always operate in the spirit of excellence. Everything. So I'm just trying to doing this show, doing radio, TV, preaching, whatever. We got to have a mind like this football team. She's right, getting it together, and we just all need to operate in the spirit of excellence. Drive, want to. I mean, I don't know if you heard what Deion Sanders was talking to his team about. That's what I'm saying. Excellence, operating with drive and that spirit of excellence. So I try to do that in everything I do. That's all.
No doubt. Well, but to her point, she says if the O-line can figure it all the way out, Bam's going to be scary. Look, that's why I said, Dr. Crystal, I mean, I think they're the key to the success of this football season, right? Defense has been outstanding. They've been dominant. Special teams, you've got arguably the best kicker and punter in the country with Will Reichert and Burnup. Got to get him back soon. And then you look at the offense, Jalen Milroe is playing some really good football. He's improved with the turnovers, in my opinion. He's looking a lot more confident when he's throwing the football in the passing game. If we could just get that offensive line to protect him when he drops back to pass and get that push, that movement up front. Another thing I think it is sometimes their communication is a little bit off, but you got to think, I mean, they're still kind of moving guys around. I mean, I know Dalcourt is banged up, but Big 77, I keep forgetting his name. I apologize. You guys, if you got his name, Big 77, they play the right guard. I said it. Because I was asking Jane, I was like, this dude that's a big old dude. Like, I mean, hell, we used to have Cornbread. Cornbread actually was pretty good in pass pro, but I'm like, Cornbread, and when I say Cornbread, I'm sorry, Deontay Brown played guard here. Y'all remember Big? We called him Cornbread. That was his nickname. Yeah, he was big as hell, but you know what he did? He got movement, right? We ran counter every time I had to go against this. Oh, Lord, let me buckle my strap. He's coming to put his hat on somebody. He's trying to lean on you. That's why I was saying, I'm like, I know we got like some guy that he might not be the best in pass pro, but we can help him out a little bit there. We can help him out in the pass pro, but he's going to get some movement, man. We just need a big body in that interior line to really get some push. So I think they're starting to kind of get that going. But you're right. If that O-line can play to what we think to the level that we think they can, I agree. I think this offense is just scratching the surface, and I think they're really going to start doing
right because if they're playing to that level in which Dr. Crystal is talking about. You're talking about dominating, as we were saying, the offensive line, changing the line of scrimmage, and with the backs. I mean, we got 4 or 5 backs, really. I mean,
you got great backs. Miller. You got great receivers. We've seen that now.
I want to see more of those guys too. That's fresh. We like to call it fresh legs, Doc. Get more fresh legs up there. Those guys got a better chance now to hit the home run if that offensive line get to where they need to be and land on them. I'll tell you, as a defensive end / outside linebacker, it's 4 quarters of HE double hockey sticks, man. When 350 guys keep pounding you, laying on you, listen, it wears you down. And then that third and fourth quarter, that's what Alabama back in the day used to be so good, because those linemen banged those D linemen for 3 quarters. And in that fourth quarter, those dudes' shoulders hurting and they're tired and they're weary. And now that 4 minute offense just drills them, and they're closing games out. So we need to see a little bit more of that.
No doubt. Again, Dr. Chris, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. And
Yes.
it's a really good point you make. Like I said, that I think the offense line is the key. We need them to
Yeah.
be their very best if we want to accomplish our goals. Another $10 super chat from Michael. Michael, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. He says, do you think the reps Tyler Buckner received during the summer slowed Jalen Milroe's development? Should Saban/Reese make the decision should they have made the decision much earlier to maximize Jalen's practice reps? I don't know if I say it slowed his development, Mike, only because, I mean, Milroe had been working in all the way back to the spring when he was competing with Ty Simpson before Tyler Buckner got here. So he got a lot of valuable reps then. And yeah, when you bring another guy in there, that's taking reps away from others. But, just being at the practices and seeing the way they were doing things, he was getting plenty of reps. If anything, I think the reps that he missed versus South Florida could have, hindered him, because it could have, if he didn't handle it the right way, it could have killed his confidence. It could have set him back. Luckily, I don't think it did that. I think it did the opposite. I think it gave him some momentum. It gave him some more, confidence to really go take his job back and run away with it. But yeah, I'll be honest, Michael, that's a fair point. I can understand that perspective, but I wouldn't necessarily say it slowed his development because he always, if I'm being honest with you, he always was kind of in the driver's seat of the competition. I know, people couldn't really see because the media can't go to practice and stuff. But if you watched, he was always, taking most of the reps with the first team. Yeah, he would alternate with some guys here and there, but you could just tell by the way they had it set up, he was the guy to beat out. And that's why Coach Saban just kept saying, somebody's got to take the bull by the horns. They got to run with the job. It was always pretty much his job to lose, if I'm being honest. So he was getting those reps in practice. And I think the best reps that he can get are these live bullets, these live in-game reps, because that's really what matters most. He's got a lot of reps in practice over the past year, but now I think this experience that he's getting with this in-game experience, going on the road, playing in a hostile environment, in his backyard at Texas A&M, going and playing Mississippi State with the Cowbells, playing against a really good Texas football team, second game of the season. Those are the reps that I think matter the most to his development. I think that's why we've seen him make some really good improvement and progress over the course of this season, because he's getting some live in-game reps, and those are the best reps that you can get as a football player. I think you're muted.
Sorry, Michael. I will say
There you go.
that I think that when you have guys that, even though he's getting the majority of the reps first team, and you have dudes though that's over your shoulder, the problem is with a guy like Jalen Milroe, which I believe was a problem early on for him. He was playing scared. So I don't know if it hindered, if you will, the maturation process for him. I believe so, because I can tell you, if you got and leave things open, that these two guys are looking over your shoulders, and you know how Coach Saban is about mistakes, and they harping on press conference about mistakes. I thought that it hindered him from being him. I thought that it hindered him from going out there playing loose and free, and now he can play within himself, which is a big playmaker. I thought it was a hindrance there. And when he got the vote of confidence from Nick Saban, now he was able to play free. Now he was able to play loose. And then when he threw an interception, Coach Saban was there clapping. He didn't throw his headsets on that one. He didn't say, "What are you doing? What were you thinking?" He clapped, right? If you go back to the last, he clapped. He didn't get in his face. He let him go to the sideline, talk to Tommy Reese, and Jalen bounced back and did his thing. The biggest thing that a player, any player, especially high-level college football or sports, NFL, professional sports, the best thing that you can ever have going for you is confidence. You can call it cockiness, if you will. But if you got confidence, man, you could excel to the next level. And I think that's what we're seeing now from Jalen Milroe, is he's maturing, he's feeling confident, and he's feeling free. And when you got that kind of dude with that type of ability, and they call plays that allow him to do that, and be that, wow, watch out. And that's what I'm saying. Wow, we haven't even scratched the surface of what this young man can do if Tommy Reese and they all get it on the same page, because I think the sky is the limit for him.
I think that's what we're seeing. We saw it against Texas A&M. You know, he really showcased his ability to throw the football. That we've already known that, but I think he put a lot of people on notice that he can pass the football and extremely well. You know, when he has time, when he's feeling confident, and yeah, you're right. I think he is just scratching the surface. Now, I will go on to say though, I think we also have to have some realistic expectations that we had a phenomenal performance last week in the passing game. Let's just be realistic that there's a chance that things could be a little slow. We could see a little bit of a dip or a slump, and that's okay. That doesn't mean we're going downhill. That's just natural. You know what I mean? So I just want to throw that out there.
We're going down here now, and the crazy dogs barking. I probably got a few more minutes before I got to run.
That's okay. That's fine. That's just Leo in the background. I apologize, but let's get to another super chat. Kelly again with the 1999.
Kelly got the boom boom double.
Kelly's doubling up. Kelly, thank you so much. Kelly says, can we give some love to Lawson for getting in Turner's face for the silly penalty that called back the pick six of the field goal, the blocked field goal for a touchdown? Absolutely. Love the players holding each other accountable. Kelly, I love seeing that accountability. I saw some earlier where it was actually Dallas Turner getting in Justin Boygby's face because they ran a really nice game on a third down. It was an ET game. For you guys that don't know what that means, that's where in the defensive end, he slants, he comes inside, he sets a pick on the guard, and that three technique or that interior defensive lineman is going to wrap for contain. Dallas did a phenomenal job setting that pick, redirecting upfield, forcing Max Johnson out of the pocket. Boygby just didn't get around enough time for contain. Quarterback started scrambling, almost got the first down. Luckily, they stopped him. But I saw Dallas getting in his grill after that and holding him accountable, saying, look, man, because look, as a defensive end, when you run a game, that's the worst, man. You do your job, you force him to the guy, it would be a free sack. But he's not there. And so Dallas let him know.
He was mad. That's why he was mad.
That's why he was mad, because either one of them would have got the sack, because Dallas did a great job redirecting. I say all that to say I saw that in the first quarter, and I said, all right, we're on the right track. These guys are playing with some fire, some intensity, and now they're holding each other accountable. And then to your example, with Deontay Lawson really letting them have it, because, yeah, it was a bogus penalty, but it was a bad play on Dallas Turner's part. You got to know when Braswell is 10, 15 yards ahead of you, there's no way that guy's catching you. I know you wanted some get back for Malachi because that was the tight end that he hit. That was all in Malachi's face and doing all that extra stuff. I get it, but you got to be smart and you got to be disciplined. You can't hurt your team. So I love seeing that, Kelly, because that's another thing I thought we were missing, is that accountability from these guys on this team. And now we're starting to see that guys are starting to understand their role. Guys are starting to step into those leadership roles, and that's what we need out of this football team. And I think that display right there is why the defense is playing so well. They've got some accountability. You hear the maturation out of a guy from a guy like Terrion Arnold when he talked about getting yelled at, how to accept that coaching. Don't listen to, how he's saying it, but what he's saying. All these things, I'm putting all these pieces together, and I'm really starting to like what I'm seeing out of a lot of these young men on this football team. But again, Kelly, thank you so much for the super chat.
Kelly, you know what? If I was Chris Braswell, I would have backslapped him. Bam! I mean, that right there, you can't do that. I mean, you're taught that. If you're behind the ball, don't touch the guy. I mean, but this is not the first time Dallas Turner has done this. It's a pattern. There's a couple other ones I think he is to blame for doing something that cost his team a touchdown. Right. So it wasn't smart. I'm not going to beat him up. But
no, it was the interception against South Florida. Kool-Aid caught the interception.
Yeah, it was him.
He had something. It was like a
So he's cost his team 14 points already. But now it's a great play. Chris Braswell, I mean, getting the block, the heads up to scoop it and run with it to score the touchdown. That broke the game open. Had it stood, you're up by 2 touchdowns down, and it's really over. So, listen, I love both these dudes. These edge guys are really good, but that was a bonehead mistake. And as far as Lawson, those other guys, I mean, listen, this is what it's all about. Your leaders got to be leaders, not just by yelling and screaming, but how you play and how you operate and how you practice and being on meetings on time. So leaders, I like to call it servant leadership. Like Jesus. Jesus said, I came not to serve, not to be served, but to serve, giving my life as a ransom. So as a leader, you give up even what you want, even where you feel comfortable, and you do things that maybe is uncomfortable. You do those types of things. That's what makes a good leader. And it's not always what you say, but most of the time is what you do and how you doing things. That's what make guys want to follow and operate. But they got some good leadership. Lawson, those guys, is the quarterback on the defense. A lot of respect there for him on his football team. And talking about Turner and these Chris, they've been around for a while. They're veterans. So
Yep.
those young guys, they have a lot of them, needs to be able to look up to them. Thanks for the 1999, the Kelly Weathersby Blue Light Special.
That's right. All right, let's run through. We got a few more super chats to get to. We're already at an hour. I know you got some things you got to do, but here we go. Let's keep it rolling real quick. Tia Carter, our good friend Tia. Shout out to Tia. She got the $10 super chat. There she is. Appreciate that. She says, Corey's talking right. The college defensive coaches I talked to believe that Saban needs to simplify the defensive playbook. We're playing well this year, though. You better hire T-Rob as DC after Steele. First and foremost, thanks for the $10, Tia.
Thank you.
Always shouts out to Tia. She's a big supporter of us here on the Miller's Edge. But look, and I just because I was saying, it's our system, we're not changing. I agree though, and that's why I always go back to the reference when we had Jeremy Pruitt, whoever. We would just say call the base nickel call, which is flex 6 bump Bronco, cover 6 out of a flex front. It's as base as it gets, right? I mean, base strong 3 auto out of regular personnel, right? Cover 3 rushing from the strong side, right? Playing ripless coverage. I mean, we had no problem. We would call that. We don't care if the offense knows what coverage we're in, what we're running, because we had confidence that we had some dogs on our defense. We knew that our 4-man pressure was going to hit home. We knew we were going to, get after the quarterback, get those DBs, a little bit of time to cover. We knew they were going to cover their guys up, give us time to get the quarterback. And so with that being said, at Alabama with so much talent, I don't think we necessarily have to be too fancy or too cute. And I think if I was going into Coach Saban's mind, I think it's just he really likes being prepared for everything. And when you talk about a coverage like cover 7, like Adam had referenced earlier, it entails so much. There's so many different things that you can play out of it. There's so many different ways you can react to different routes and concepts and adjust depending on how things change, whether it's 2x2, 3x1, formation, the boundary. So I think that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to cover things up. My brother snuck by.
You had a flash right there. But let me say real quick, because I do have to get out of here in a couple minutes. But I would say this, Tia, that T-Rob basically is a defensive coordinator, but he just deals with the back end. Kevin Steele deals with the front end, the front 7. I think, I think for sure if Kevin Steele decides, hey, I'm retired, move back here. He's from South Carolina. He's from a small town called Dillon, South Carolina. And if he decides to move back or and he said, I had enough. So I think there is a training going on with this whole position deal. And I think T-Rob is just get more comfortable at this position with the entire package. So I think, it might have been a hire by bringing Kevin. He knows me. He knows the defense. T-Rob he's been a DC coordinator here at South Carolina. He's worked with Will at Auburn, Florida. He's been with Muschamp in this defense, but his specialty is back end, right? So, and sometimes you'll have it, not just Alabama, but I'm just saying different places where certain guys they're special at certain, like T-Rob's a DB guy. That's what he knows. He's comfortable there. So they needed to have a guy that can deal with fronts and those types of things. So I think he's in a combo, even though he does not have a title DC, but I think he's acting as a DC as it pertains to the back end.
I mean, it's just like having a co-defensive coordinator. I mean, I gave the example on the show, right? Like when my senior year, Tosh Lupoi was hired as DC, but Pete Golding was really, Pete Golding had a much better understanding of coverages. Tosh was more of a fronts guy, right? So Pete Golding was doing everything on the back end, handling the coverages. And then it almost slowly shifted into Pete was pretty much the coordinator behind the scenes. He was almost holding Tosh's hand. I'm not saying that's the case now, but it's very common to have two guys working together in unison to be a coordinator. But Tia, thank you so much for the $10 super chat.
Thank you,
Now
Tia.
I'm with you on both those points. Sean with the $5 super chat. Sean, appreciate the support. He says, "Do you see some of Strahan in Dallas? I know he's your former teammate, G-Man Bama." So I'll let you answer that. Do you see some of Strahan in Dallas? I don't know if he's talking about
No, he's just
Michael
talking about style
Parsons
of
or
play. I think he's talking about style of play. Not really. Strahan was a much bigger defensive end. We played more. When Strahan was with the Giants, we had shifted more to a 4-3. Now, when I first got there, my first 3 years of LT and playing on the opposite side of LT, we're a 3-4 defense. But Strahan was more of a 4-3 defensive end. He weighed about 275. Strahan wasn't blazing fast. I think Dallas Turner's a little bit faster. Although Strahan could run, maybe he's a 4-7 guy, 4-7-5 guy. But Strahan wasn't a bender around the edge. He was a great technician. I mean, Strahan was smart at rushing the quarterback. He wasn't going to run by you, but he's going to really use his hands well. And he knew how to pull that shoulder down, rip around the corner. He knew how to set the tackle up, club, and get in the inside. He can power. He had good strength, although he wasn't going to blow you away in the weight room lifting 400 or 500 pounds, but he still played the game strong because he played with great leverage. So when I look at Dallas Turner, I see a guy that's going to transition to a stand-up outside back. And I'll say this, what Nick Saban's defense is, and Christian got caught up with this one too, because these guys are linebackers, right? And one thing I got really angry with last year with Pete Golden, and I've seen it this year with Chris and Dallas, where in certain defense, or they're not able to sub, they have to play like a defensive end. They have to slide down into a 5 technique. And that's not what they do. We saw it last year with Will. Will was playing a lot on the inside, and this is why he couldn't play up to the level we thought. These are true edge guys. Dallas is an edge guy. He's going to be a stand-up sandbacker. So Chris, playing over the tight end, strong side, because I think they're good run defenders at outside linebackers. Neither one of them are flashy pass rushers. They don't have that ability. Because they rush it. Coach Saban wants you to stay on the outside. He wants you to push the pocket. He don't really care that you just clean beat a guy. You don't see those guys like you see at Texas and some of the other outside linebackers that can use quick moves and jump inside and spins. And they don't have that freedom all the time. They are more disciplined pass rushers. But to answer your question, I don't see similarities there. But I do think Dallas has a chance, though, to be. I think his upside in the next level is going to be better than what you see in college, because when you get to a 3-4 team, he's going to be able to move, jump inside, work counter moves and things like that, where he does not have that ability or freedom, I should say, to do it at Alabama.
I'm so slow. I'm over here. When I saw Dallas, I'm thinking he meant like the Cowboys. I'm thinking NFL when he says Strahan. I'll just piggybacking. Yeah, Strahan is a lot different than Dallas. They have totally different, body types, rush packages and just how they rush, but both very effective players. But my dad definitely would know. He played with Strahan. And how long did you play with them? Years, right?
5 years. So
yeah, y'all play together a while. All right, last super chat real quick, and it's from Adam again. The presenter of our show, the honorary presenter of the Miller's Edge Extra. Adam says, Corey and Christian, do you think the Bama championship teams of 17, 19, so Adam, I think we won in 15, 17, and 20, but could have beaten an NFL team? And Corey, I was at the Meadowlands when you guys crushed the Bears in the playoffs in 91. Awesome defense. So that would have been your rookie year, right?
Yeah.
So you were a young buck then. But to your first point, Adam, do I think any of those championship teams could have beaten an NFL team?
No.
I'll be honest. If I'm being honest with you, Adam, I don't necessarily think so. Could we have played and competed against the worst team? I think so. But I'll be honest, man, just the jump between college and the league, there's a difference. I mean, you're talking about grown men, talking about dudes with families, dudes that have been doing it at this level for 5, 6, 8, 9 years, like my dad played. So these guys obviously have been playing the game for a long time. You're talking about putting them against 18, 19-year-old, 20-year-old kids. I think, as great as we were, we probably could compete. But just being honest with you, man, the league is a different beast, right? Especially if we're not used to playing at that level yet. We were just getting matched up against them. But there's a lot of people that used to like to have that debate. I mean, I would love to say that we would get a dub if we played the Browns or somebody who had really been struggling around those years. But just realistically, knowing how talented these guys in the NFL are, and just how special you are to play in the NFL. I mean, it's really the 1% of the 1%. I mean, you talk about just making it to the NFL, but then also making a 53-man roster. I mean, it's truly the best in the world. So I'll be honest, Adam. I think we could compete, but I don't think we would win. But that's just my opinion. You got any thoughts on that? I think you already said no. So
I mean, it's great. Absolutely not. I mean, just these grown men that's been in the league 5, 7, 10 years. Young guys not really understanding. We'll be talking about how the process and how fast the game is, not so much by foot speed, but fast and mentally processing and carrying out your job, things like that. So, nah, I don't think it. They might could hung around a little bit, but I think they would be a 2 or 3 touchdowns underdog if we even kind of like capped what that would look like. So, Adam, I don't think that would even be close. Although if I'm looking at the Carolina Panthers versus the 15, 19, maybe I changed my mind. But this might be the worst football team that I ever seen in the history of the NFL. This team Bryce Young is playing on, he should have stayed back at Alabama.
I tried to warn people.
He should have NIL'd. He could have made $3-5 million for another year and because they stink. I mean, so if you ask me about one of these championship teams, especially what there have been 15, maybe for sure. I don't know if 2020, but that 15 and 17, your 2 championship teams probably could have, because about every one of these guys end up in the NFL. But maybe the Panthers will be the one I would say yes, because they are absolutely horrid.
Hey, look, that's my team, but I can't deny the fact we really are struggling. That's why I said That's why I said I would love for Bryce to go number 1, but I genuinely was concerned about him in that situation, just because I know how the office works and how where they like to prioritize their money. Then that's on them, but they don't really invest in offensive lines. They don't really
no receivers, no playmakers. I mean, it's just bad.
So he's going to need help. All right, last super chat, and then I'll give it. I think I saw somebody else saying we didn't really talk about the upcoming game. I'll just give a quick 1 or 2 minute spiel on what to expect real quick in our predictions, and we'll get out of here. But Titan guy, thank you so much for the $4.99 super chat.
Thank you.
Said, do you think Kool-Aid getting clocked against MTSU is making him think on punt returns? It could. I mean, he took a hard hit, but I don't even know if it's just that. I'll be honest, Titan guy, I love Kool-Aid. I know they're not really trying his side much, but I feel like this season he's playing a little more lax right now. I'm not accusing him of anything or like he's trying to, but he doesn't necessarily seem to have as much juice as I've seen him have in the past. So I don't know if maybe it's from one play or if it's just other reasons or other factors, but that very much could. I mean, I've never been a punt returner. My brother did in high school. He said it wasn't the most fun thing having guys running at you as you're waiting to catch a football, but we know Kool-Aid is damn good at it, and he's very special at it. And I think it's only a matter of time until he starts breaking them again. But I have noticed he does seem a little bit more reserved, at least in that aspect. So
let me say this, because I want to be quick on this point, because I got to go. But he's worried about his green mouthpiece. He worried about that big old.
Hey, we're not gonna do.
Hold on.
Don't disrespect nobody. Come on.
I ain't disrespecting, because listen, if you want to roll like that as a baller, right? You got your chain, you got your Gucci bag, Louis, whatever you got. You look good, bro. You dress them and you win that day. Here you go. But you're getting beat at times. You have a chance, Kool-Aid McKinstry, to knock a guy into the next level on that one play that Smith almost scored on. If you go back and watch it, he ducks his head and just whiffs, throws his shoulders instead of just going and wrapping the guy up, tackling him, and live to play another down. But he whiffed, and Anais Smith almost scores a touchdown. Thank God his foot was out of bounds, because this could be a whole different conversation because of that one play. Like, okay, I get it. I hear what everybody's saying, but what I see on tape from him, not just about the punt return, but Terrion Arnold is playing so much better. Terrion Arnold has a higher ceiling and a better upside. Kool-Aid, first of all, looks a little bit overweight to me. I think he needs to drop down a few pounds. I don't see the explosiveness. I don't see the quick turnaround burst out of his hips when the guy happened to get by him to turn and run. He's a good player, but I think he's more, to me, might be a better zone player. Like, you got good man-to-man corners and you got good zone corners. I think he's a better zone corner than man corner, because what I've seen lately is just like, to me, he's taking a step backwards. And I hate to say that. I think he got crazy talent, but I'm just in short. I think he needs to step and elevate his game up. He's going to think he's going to be that high first round pick, because I think, and I see what scouts see. I know what scouts are looking for at that position, and I haven't been overly impressed. I'm just going to be honest with you. Go back to even South Florida. In that game, he got beat several times. I've seen numerous times he's been lazy. His technique has been lazy. He didn't play with some fire. I don't see that fire, like he's having fun. It almost looked like I'm just playing to get through, and hopefully I don't get hurt so I can go get my bag. I hope that's not the case, but I'm just saying this is what it looks like to me. And I hope he turns things around, because I do believe he has unbelievable potential, but he's got to get some fire going, man, if he's going to be a first round pick. Let's go.
He's going to be a first round pick, but you're right. They're going to want to see that.
Okay.
You know, it does appear like he might be playing out of caution, not wanting to get injured. I'll say that's a good way to phrase that. But look, folks, it's been another great show. We appreciate everybody being here. First and foremost, if you don't mind hitting that like button down below to show your support and to get more content, make sure you subscribe to stay up to date. Make sure you check us out on all social media platforms at The Miller's Edge, and check us out Monday through Friday on Tide 100.9, as we're live every Monday through Friday from 11 to 12 a.m. Central Time. So check us out there. But real quick before we get out of here, I know we touched on it before, coming in when we started the show, and some people might have missed it. But our thoughts on this football game. Look, Arkansas is a good team. Their record doesn't tell the whole story. They're 0-3 and in SEC play, I think 2-4 on the year. But if you look closely at those games, they played a lot of tight games. They played LSU close on the road in Baton Rouge, only lost by 3. They played Ole Miss close. It was 27-20. They lost, I think, 34-22 to Texas A&M in that ball game. So when you look at the record, it says one thing, but if you watch the tape and you see how these games played out, they're a tough football team. I expect a tough matchup, but then all the factors, it's an early game, homecoming, you're coming off some really good football on the road that Alabama's been playing. I could see this being a type of game where we start a little slow. I hope that's not the case, but I could see that happening. I could see this game being a little closer than it should be. But I still, at the end of the day, I'm going to go with about 34-10. I think we'll, come out second half like we've been doing, make the adjustments, hit our stride. But just from a personnel standpoint, they got KJ Jefferson at quarterback, really good quarterback. I think he's vulnerable to some turnovers. He's thrown 6 picks this year. He's a big body, 6'3", 250. Can move around. He likes to extend plays with his legs. So I think as long as the defensive line does a really good job caging the pocket, collapsing the pocket, and containing him and forcing him to make some mistakes, I think we'll be just fine. You look at their stats in the SEC, they're not very impressive. I know they don't tell the whole story, but their rushing offense, they come in at 12th out of 14 teams. Passing, they're 10th, I believe. Yep, they're 10th. So they're not the most explosive team out there, but again, they play hard, they play aggressive, and they're going to play you close, right? The record doesn't show you that, but that's what they're going to do. They've got some good guys on that football team. They got a familiar face in Dan Enos over there, who was here at Alabama. So I think it's going to be a good ball game. I think it's a good test, but I think most importantly, the most critical thing for Alabama this week is to focus on themselves, right? Don't focus on who they're playing, what their record is, what they've done in the weeks prior. Focus on what they need to do to get better. We heard Coach Saban come in the press conference on Wednesday and talk about how important it is to have the right mindset, have the right attitude, and attack every day to get better, not worry about what you've done or what you haven't done. He gave a lecture on nothing. You can go check that out if you missed it. But in closing, I think Alabama needs to go in this football game. They need to continue to work on establishing the line of scrimmage. I think that's the biggest key for them moving forward. When you look at them up to this point and everything that they've done this season, I think establishing the line of scrimmage, specifically on the offensive side of the football, is critical. And I think this is a great challenge and opportunity to do that this Saturday against Arkansas, a tough football team. Not the best team when it comes to record, but a good physical, tough football team. That's another SEC opponent. And look, I'm going to let you close out, but real quick, Kelly dropped another super chat, so we've got to acknowledge that because we're always thankful for the support. Kelly with the $9.99 super chat says, thank you both for another great show. Kelly, thank you. Keep them coming. Don't you worry, Kelly. We got them coming. Remember, you can always listen to us Monday through Friday on Tide 100.9 from 11 a.m. To 12 p.m. Central Time. And also, we're going to do the post-game show after the football game. So that'll be roughly around 3:30-ish or so. Remember, you can always listen to me on the radio call. I'm the sideline reporter for the football team as well, so you can hear me there. And I also do a pregame show.
A lot of you. There you go.
Yeah, you hear me on the radio all day Saturday on the Tide Tailgate Show pregame 5 hours before kickoff. So that'll be probably when you're sleeping at 6 a.m. But check us out there. But I'm gonna let my dad close out with his thoughts real quick on this week, and then go ahead and get up out of here.
First of all, Kelly, thank you triple times. I mean, you've been such a blessing.
So
all
sweet.
Of you.
Thank you, Kelly.
All of you, if you don't super chat or not, we appreciate your support. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button down below because we really want to continue to build this show up and be the source, the breakdown of Alabama football, and that's what we want to dominate. Like Deion Sanders said, we want to dominate. As I said earlier, we want to operate in excellence in everything that we do. That being said, real quickly, I'm not too concerned about this game. I know they got KJ Jefferson. They got the Rocket. He's Sanders. He's a good player. The offensive line of Arkansas is not that good. Alabama's defensive front should have a big-time day. Dallas Turner, Chris Braswell should get sacks. Deontay Lawson is going to be all over the field. Those linebackers going to be roaming. They probably will put a spy on KJ Jefferson because he can run. He can run fast for a big man. I mean, this is a big man that can move. And if you don't, if you're not disciplined in your rush lanes, or this guy can hurt you. He can't throw the ball deep. He's got a big arm like Jalen Milroe. So they're going to have to be good on defense, play their responsibilities, execute. Don't give them cheap plays, and they should win the game. Offensively, they should be able to get things going with this offensive line. This is a game to establish the run. Again, I talked about the triple S factor, the sluggish, slow start. They cannot do that. They got to change, figure out why they're starting the game so slow. They've been great in the second half, great at making adjustments, but this is a game I want to see them start the game fast early. They got an early start. Well, let's play early. Let's play fast. Let's play good football the first quarter and the second quarter. And you're at home. It's homecoming. Everybody's going to have hangovers. A lot of Bloody Marys are going to be passed around. A lot of Shampipple going on around Tuscaloosa. It's going to be a fun day. A lot of hurting people, though, that's going to be out there at the game. But listen, it should be fun. The weather should be a great day for football. And this is just getting one step closer. As I talked about, that Highway 20 ride down to Atlanta. This is the next opponent, next game. Handle your business. I don't think Alabama will struggle. I think we see them get better. I think their goal continues to become more visible. The tunnel becomes more clear. And I think the tide rolls big in this ball game. I think we're going to see Jalen Milroe put up a 40-piece on this team. And I give them about 13 points. So 40, whatever, the 13 is what I'm saying. Hopefully we will get a chance to play some younger guys, because that's what I want to see. Why I want to see them start early and get a big lead. So in the end of the third, middle of the third, fourth quarter, we can see the backup quarterback, Marty Simpson. We can see Justice Haynes. We can see Jam Miller. We can see those other young wide receivers get a chance to play, because we know how physical, how hard college football is, how football is, period, that you're going to need backups. You're going to need depth going down the stretch to win games. And you try to use these types of games so you can get these guys some valuable experience so they're ready to play when their name is going to be called. I can almost assure you and promise you that, because injuries are so prevalent, that you're going to have to call on young players. So hopefully they start fast, play great, build up a lead, and get a chance to play some of the young boys to get them some valuable game time experience. That being said, we appreciate all of you. Thank you for hanging out with us on this Thursday night. We'll be early post-game show. Christian will be on all the pregame shows. I might for about an hour. That's too early for me because we'll see.
You ain't making it. You ain't getting up.
I normally do.
I'll
The
be on the Tide
tailgate
pregame show.
but
He's gonna be sleeping in his bed, but I'll be on there.
No, I probably will. But I mean, just in case, tune in. Just tune in, just in case. Now, DC Christian does a great job, and when I come on, of course, it elevates because we're about excellence. We're about excellence.
My.
I'm just kidding.
With that being said, folks,
God bless all of you. I'm gone. Have a great night.
Go ahead and get off. I'll close out.
Don't forget about that. Oh yeah.
We can't see. All we see is that big meaty hand. So I don't know what you're trying to show us, but
show you that. I don't know.
That's the wrong side. It's on the other side. It's on the other side. No, other side, buddy. Other side, buddy. There you go. There you go. There it is. There's his Hall of Fame patch that he's proud of, as he should be. That's right. Well, again, we appreciate everybody in here tuning into the Miller's Edge Extra on this Thursday. Make sure you drop a big like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. That way you don't miss a moment. So you stay up to date. Again, thank you so much for everybody joining us tonight. We love hopping on here with you guys. Again, join in for the post-game show after the game, probably around 3 or 3:30. But real quick, just always want to give a shout-out to our gifters, Kelly, Genevieve, Adam, 60, Dr. Crystal, Michael, Tia, Sean, and Titan Guy. Thank y'all so much for all your contributions, and everybody else in here. Thank you for your support. Again, drop your score predictions in the comments below. We'd love to see what you got. Maybe we'll give somebody a hat. Like I'm gonna send Adam this hat for getting the score right. But again, thank y'all so much for tuning into the Miller's Edge Extra. Like, comment, subscribe for more. Make sure you check us out on all social media platforms. It's been a fun one. We'll see you guys this Saturday for the post game show right here on the Miller's Edge. See y'all.